four-time Miss Olympia Jay Cutler. Welcome to my channel, Jay Cutler TV, and make sure to stay in tune with the newest and updated videos. Subscribe below, guys. Thank you so much for following along.
Okay, any questions on the cardio?
Not on the cardio, though.
What?
He's got a little bit question.
He's got a question. Okay, go ahead, sir.
So,
Are we able to win this?
I can speak louder.
Yeah, yell loud.
So, do you think that Heath would be able to win his title back?
Okay, so the question was, do you think Phil Heath will win his title back? They said I couldn't win in 2009. And I think anything is possible. It really comes down to what's going on in Phil Heath's head. Because when you lose, especially after winning 7 years in a row, you have to have a lot of confidence to get back in the gym and train. And I think Phil Heath still has the body, he just has to control his midsection. That's his main issue, and that's, I think, why he lost. I still think Phil Heath is the dominant bodybuilder on that stage. He's got the lines, he's got the detail, but he needs to come back with the confidence, like I did in 2009, and come and take what's his, right? And go try to get number 8 and tie the record. So you think he can do it?
I do.
Are you rooting for him? You should come out and support him at the Olympia.
It would be my pleasure.
Yes. But there's a lot of great guys. Sean, you know, once you're Mr. Olympia, it's hard to dethrone the champ, right? They say you're gonna knock the champ out. I think that's bullshit, but I think it's kind of the truth, you know? That's how the judges look at it, okay? Any other questions? Yes, sir.
What do you mean about Dorian Yates and his extreme training method?
Dorian Yates training methods with the heavy duty training. That's what it was called. You know, high intensity training, listen, he got injured. Okay, not to say that I didn't. You know, I tore the bicep doing a shoulder press. Everyone has their style. And I was, like I mentioned, I'm a high volume trainer. So I would focus on 10 to 12 repetitions when I trained. I never got into like the 5 and 6 reps with heavy weight. I think you still need to train with heavy weights to build a lot of muscle to compete on the big level. But I think you have to have control. I think that, you know, that never fit my training style. Like I did not change. From the day I picked up the weights at 18 until the day I retired, I trained exactly the same. And I found my own path, okay? I watched Dorian, I was a huge fan of Dorian Yates, but I found what worked best for me. And I think that everyone should try different type training techniques because you don't know what your body's gonna respond to. There's no right or wrong. Just like I said, if you don't like an exercise, you don't have to do that. There's different ways to train now. There's so many machines and variations. I mean, we can talk about squatting, we can talk about deadlifting, we can talk about bench pressing. There's a lot of variations of all that now. I like squatting, but a lot of the top pros don't squat anymore. They don't have to. There's a lot of machines that duplicate that and build the muscles. I mean, it's all about building the volume of the muscles. That's why I say getting in the gym and doing repetitions and pumping and expanding the muscle tissue, that is key to increasing size. You do that over and over and over, and you keep eating and you keep fueling your body, that's how you build the round muscle, right? It just takes time. I mean, I won my first Olympia at 33. I was huge at 20 years old, but it takes a long time to develop that maturity and all those details. Okay, I was second in the Mr. Olympia first time at 27, and I won at 33 because I was battling, you know, Ronnie Coleman, who's now, I mean, he's going through a hell of a time with his surgeries. He just had his 10th surgery, I think, yesterday for his back. So he's, you know, he's recovering, but You know, he's 10 years older than me also. So I think age, sometimes as you train like that, you have to be a little more conscious. You see that with like Dexter Jackson, 49, and Mr. Olympia. You know, his training's changed a lot in the last 10 years. Because as you get older, you just can't pound the weights like you used to, that's all. Okay, we all have our different styles. Yes, sir.
Was high-intensity interval training a part of your training routine?
The interval training? Cardio. Intervals, yes. I was more of a steady pace cardio guy where I just was trying to keep my metabolism going. So if you're gonna do interval cardio training, I don't suggest doing it for hour sessions. That should be like 20, 30 minutes max, okay? Because you can only keep up that pace for so long, and I think you have to be careful not to burn off muscle tissue. So if you're in a rush and you're trying to burn more calories, I always suggest high intensity, low intensity. So 1 minute really high intensity, cool down for 2 minutes, then go back up and do it that way, but shorter periods of cardio. Okay, is ideal for that. Okay, sir, right there.
What is your program around the training and the eating? Because on Instagram we see a lot of videos you're going to the physiotherapy and getting massage and going to the doctor to stay healthy, to stay fit.
It's super important, that massage therapy. I mentioned earlier today. I retired from the stage, but I feel I can go train for more Olympias right now. My body feels great, my joints are great, my knees, my elbows, my shoulders. And a lot of that is that tissue work. Because listen, we're tearing our bodies apart in the gym. The fibers are breaking down, the toxins are in there. You need to flush the muscles. You need to stretch and stay pliable. As you get bigger, you can imagine, I started at 200 pounds, I ended up at 300. Okay, gained 100 pounds through my career. You have to keep everything pliable. So it's important, you know, to get those massages. I was doing them several times a week. I suggest monthly. I mean, some people bi-weekly, but you have to stay with that therapy sessions, okay? And the diet, the diet's super important too. Remember, breakfast, most important meal of the day. You have to get up and eat. Okay, so if you're missing breakfast, if anyone in this room is missing breakfast, you have to get in a good breakfast. 1 hour before training, 1 hour after training, fuel your body. Okay, you have to eat. Those 3 meals are the most important meals, and then the rest of the meals can be taken. I suggest eating every 3 hours. I eat every 2.5. But I was eating 6 or 7 meals a day, sometimes 8 or 9 when I was at my best. Because I was constantly fueling. Okay, chicken, steak, eggs, protein shakes, rice, potatoes, oatmeal. Combination of each, okay, depending if I was trying to get leaner or not leaner. Okay, 6,000 calories a day. I eat about 3,000 now. Okay, so, yes, any other questions, guys? I want people to ask these questions because I know there's some out there. Go ahead, sir.
How did you handle your injury physically and emotionally?
My injury happened 3 weeks prior to the 2011 Olympia, which was my plan to be my last. I was planning to win 5 and retire. And just like any other day, I was shoulder day, and I picked up 2 dumbbells, and I was sitting, and I kicked them up, and I kicked this one, and when I kicked it up, it tore my bicep off my shoulder. And I dropped it, and I said, man, I think I strained something, and I didn't know I actually tore it. And I kept training, of course. And next thing you know, as the show got closer, it started to get black and blue, and I competed with a torn bicep. You could see, you know, the bicep peak got bigger because it tore, and it was black and blue. And I lost to Heath. So it really wasn't it didn't affect me until I lost the title, and I was like, shit, you know, I lost. And then I wasn't Mr. Olympia anymore. And then I had a heavy guest posing schedule, because back then we were guest posing after the shows. I booked, you know, I was like the most demanded guy, so I had all these appearances, so I couldn't get the surgery right away, so I was going and guest posing with it, and it was hurting by that point. And I had the surgery in February of 2012. So you figure the Olympia was in September. I didn't have surgery in 2012. I wanted to come back and compete in 12, but I just couldn't, I couldn't move it as well. So of course mentally it affected me, because now I wasn't Mr. Olympia anymore. I had an injury for the first time in my career. I had to go through the physical therapy, I had to go through the massage sessions, I had to get that back, because when they stapled it back through my shoulder, you know, it shortened everything up. So when I was training like super tight. So I had to get used to stretching it back out, and the lat was smaller and all that was smaller on that side. So I don't think I ever recovered, to be honest. I was always scared when I went in the gym and trained that it was going to tear again. And you know, in 13 I came back, I wasn't as big as I was at my best. But I came back for the fans mostly 2013, I mentioned that. And I stood on the stage healthy, which was important for me. And I was doing a lot of business then. So my goals shifted away from competing. I wasn't focused as much on competing anymore. I just wanted to focus on the business. And to be honest, I didn't travel internationally to places like this as much when I was competing, because I was afraid I was going to miss meals, miss training. And now I'm traveling so much internationally to countries I've never been before. So for me, and bodybuilding's growing all over the world. I mean, look at this. Look how many people come to listen to me speak today. It's amazing to me. So I'm just trying to do what I continue to do, but to be honest, it did affect me mentally, and maybe that's why I never came back to the stage as strong. Okay, who had a question? Yes.
Who was your biggest role model and why?
Biggest role model was Sylvester Stallone and Jean-Claude Van Damme. Do you know who that is? Those were the guys that got me into training. And I'm sure people are sitting here saying, wow, they aren't bodybuilders. But I watched the movies when I was a kid, and I saw Rocky, and I saw Rambo, and I saw Bloodsport with Van Damme. And I got to meet those two guys in my career who actually said to me, Jay, we're huge fans. Like, I met both of them. Stallone told me the same thing as Van Damme. I still see Van Damme in the gym training in Gold's Venice. He still trains there. And I got to be close with Sylvester Stallone at one point. And you know, these guys were huge role models for me, like the physiques. They were very small guys also, you know, like Dexter Jackson, you know, small. Make sure you tell Dexter that when you see him at FIBO. He'll come. I'll make sure he comes and make sure he finds you. But Stallone, you know, the body in Rocky movies, he was 150 pounds, which is a lot smaller than me. But I admired Arnold. I admired Dorian Yates, Ronnie Coleman, Kevin Leverett, and Sean Ray, Paul Dillette. All these guys were huge inspirations, because those are the guys I've looked at in the magazines. And I followed their routines. I tried different things, and like, you know, I said, man, should I train like Dorian Yates? He's so big, you know? But I kind of found like the path that I thought was best suited for me. And I got to meet Dorian Yates, and I got to meet, you know, Sean Ray, and I got to meet, you know, Ronnie. obviously before I was competing with him. And these guys were like, I never thought I'd get to that level. And then sooner or later, here I am standing on stage beating a lot of these guys, which is crazy to me. And, you know, I still stay interactive with all these guys. You know, Kevin, I'll see next week in Prague, and, you know, we get to, like Sean Ray, I see all the time. But these guys inspire me a lot too. But those movie actors were the main people. Okay. Any other questions, guys? Yes, sir.
What do you think about that bodybuilding can affect the linear growth if you train in younger ages?
The growth of younger kids, stunting growth. I mean, they say that. I'm not really in depth on too much of the background. I mean, they say, oh, if the kids start training at 12 or 13 years old, it's going to stunt the growth, squatting and all that stuff. I'm not so sure in that. I think it's more, those are years past. I see a lot of kids starting at 13, 14 years old. I think really it comes down to what your genetics are and what your genetic height is going to be. How old are you?
16.
And what age did you start weight training?
15.
And do you think it's affecting your height?
I don't know. My father has the same height like me, so I don't think so.
You're probably going to be taller than your father then. You're still growing, right?
I hope so.
Do you love bodybuilding?
Oh yes.
And how often do you train?
5 days a week.
5 days a week. And you train each body part once a day, or? So I think it's healthy. You don't have to train crazy at that age. Like, do you go in the gym and do you focus on getting a pump, or do you focus on how much weight you press?
Same.
You like to do a lot of weights. You like to be strong, but you want to be bigger, right? I always tell everyone, look like you bench press 500, but you don't have to bench press 500, right? You know, be smart about it. When you do your contractions, feel the muscle work. Put your mind to the muscle and say, okay, I'm going to get the benefit out of this, instead of just through the weights, right? You want to control everything. You want to feel it. People ask me all the time how much I bench press. And I lie. And I say like 700. I never did 700. I wouldn't even know what that looked like. But I've done 500, but it was like one time when I was young, not. Once I got smart and realized, okay, I'm gonna do this for a career, I did everything 10 to 12 repetitions. That's all I ever did. Okay, so I'm gonna cut it so we can do a meet and greet. Okay. So they're gonna cut me a little short. So let's get a couple more questions in, guys, because I know. Let's get a female question too after this. Good. Well, not you. No. What would a female ask?
Are there any things you're thinking about that you should have done that in the past on another way? Focus on training, focus on nutrition, focus on supplement.
You know what? I'll tell you one thing I regret. I come to Germany and I speak zero German. And I have a fiance that speaks Spanish, and I don't know how to speak Spanish. I don't know how to speak anything but English. And that's the only thing I probably should have focused more on, because I'm in so many foreign places, okay? But as far as the training, nutrition, whatever, I did it all. I think I did it textbook right, because I had a great career. Granted, I would have loved to win 7, 8, 9, 10 Olympias. I had to go through the best bodybuilder ever, Ronnie Coleman, right? So I feel like I did the best I could do. I don't look back and regret it. I don't look back and say, I wish I could come back and compete now. I feel I'm better being an ambassador and being able to speak to people and motivate people through what I did on and off the stage. So I think things have progressed. I think 20 years ago We didn't have at hand like the specialized equipment, the diet techniques, the training systems. I think it's all changed. Just like when Arnold competed, you know, it was mostly free weights. They dieted on milk. I mean, today, you know, we don't eat a lot of dairy when we diet down. So I think it's changed a lot. Okay, so I think everything's going to advance. Okay, yes, sir.
Well, first of all, thank you for coming here. Second, you mentioned the very close swing in 2001, and I think you took 2002 off, is that right?
Yeah, I was building a home in Vegas.
What kept you going until you won it?
I won the Arnold instead, Arnold Classic.
Thank you.
And that was enough. You know, that was the second biggest prize. I won that 3 years in a row. So for me, that was a huge achievement. And I was able to win there. And then I was disappointed when Ronnie came in off in 2002. I would have beat him then. So I kind of missed one, and maybe that would have been the rain. I would have been able to stay with it. But to be honest, those second place finishes made me a better bodybuilder, because I think if I would have won early on, I wouldn't have been as great at what I did. We motivated each other, and I don't think, if Ronnie didn't have the stiff competition of myself, I don't know if he could have been as good as I think he would say the same thing. We kind of thrive off each other. That's why I think, like the Phil Heath Kai Green thing, like I think they made each other better. And it's too bad that Kai stepped away, and he stepped away because I think he was frustrated, but at the same time he wanted to focus on business endeavors. But I think he should come back and compete. And I think anyone here that can reach out to Kai Green on Instagram or whatever, message him and say, Jay Cutler did a seminar today and thinks you should come back and compete, because I'm gonna hit him up after this. But I'm gonna encourage all these guys to stay with it, because I think bodybuilding is not dead. I think now with the new divisions, I would just wanna say a few words about that. Classic physique, men's physique, I think it's all great. But there's still a lot of diehard. Everyone wants to get to the bodybuilding level. Not everyone, but a lot of people eventually want to get to be on the big stage of the Mr. Olympia. Who wouldn't want to win the best title in the world? All people are talking about right now is Sean Roding winning the Mr. Olympia. I mean, we could talk about Bria Ansley, he winning his second. Men's physique, they had a new winner this year. Brandon Hendrickson beat Jeremy Buendia. I mean, but people are talking about the Mr. Olympia, and that's what's exciting. So I think, you know, I think we just gotta keep moving forward and keep spreading the word of health and fitness, no matter what level it is, okay? Any women have a question for me before I hang it up? Yes, ma'am.
I translate for her, okay?
Yes.
She wants to know, what is more important, carbohydrate or fat? In my opinion, high carb, moderate fat.
I was a big carbohydrate eater. Okay, whatever it converts to, I ate 1,000 carbohydrates a day. 1,000 grams of carbs. That's a lot. Okay? I wasn't a huge fat eater, meaning you have to have either fats or carbohydrates, right? It's hard to combine the two. But I ate moderate protein, moderate carbohydrates, and then minimal fat. Okay? And that worked best for me.
What do you think about eat vegan or vegetarian?
I think it's very difficult for the vegans. I don't have that experience, but it's so popular now. A lot of people are going vegan. That is, you know, we'll see what the results are. I still think you can develop a great physique. Can you win the Mr. Olympia being a vegan? I think it'd be pretty difficult, right? Because you do need a lot of protein. I mean, you need at least 1 gram per pound of body weight, I think, to make progress of protein. So if I weigh 300 pounds, I need at least 300 grams of protein. And that's really hard to get as a vegan dieter, right? What was the other thing you asked me? Vegan? What else? Vegetarian. Vegetarian, vegan, okay. Are you a vegetarian? Why'd you ask me that question?
I want to be.
Do you agree with it?
No,
Okay, great. Yes, ma'am. I think a protein powder. I think. Listen, there's a lot of great supplements. People take aminos, they take fat burners, they take pre-workouts. I have a supplement company. I believe that, you know, everyone should have some protein. Protein should be taken first thing in the morning if you need quick protein or after training. Don't use it necessarily as a meal substitute, okay? You gotta eat the food, okay? If your diet's not intact, don't waste your money on supplements. Supplements are supplemented in with a great diet. That's the only way they're gonna work, is combined, okay? As you know, I was sponsored for so many years. Truckloads would show up at my house as supplements, and my friends would come and take it all. But I got to try everything there was. And listen, I took a lot of supplements. You know why? Because they were free. Okay? And I'm trying new things nowadays because obviously I'm testing stuff for my company. You know, test boosters, fat burners, pre-workouts, aminos, pump products. I think the pump products are really much better than the heavy stim products. And I know you're restrictive compared to what the states are here with the supplements. But I think it's important, you know, a protein is always good. Whether it's a vegan protein, or whey protein, or isolate, whatever it is, okay? Okay, so listen guys, since I'm on a time restraint, because I am flying out tonight, we are gonna have a picture taking session, okay? Everyone's gonna grab a picture here. And anyone that has anything for me to sign or whatever, be happy to do that and shake your hands and whatever. Thank you guys for coming out and supporting this event. I appreciate it so much. And thank you everyone for making it possible that's here. And let's get it going. Let's get it going. Thank you.